Welcome back to the 23rd of remaking Hotline Miami in GameMaker Studio, and today we're gonna go and delve into some really advanced stuff. So if you are a beginner, not sure I can recommend this for you, because here we're gonna go into state machines, we're gonna go in some AI, and then later on we're gonna delve, of course not in this video and for now, A-star pathfinding, which is some really complicated stuff. So here this will be quite a chore for everybody, but of course this is quite beneficial if you want to go deeper into programming and making video games. So basically what you're seeing in front of you is our player, and then the enemy is kind of homing on him for now. This is just for debugging, so it kind of works. And above there we have a little bubble, which is just indicating, hey, we are idle. But of course if we go into the site, so basically there is no wall in between, and then the dude can see us. Boom, we are going into a state which is then, well, alert state, and then this is quickly by me reset it, but this is just for debugging. So as you can see, he is in the site, but there is a wall in between, and therefore he cannot see us. But bam, let's say we are in a specific angle, then boom, we can home in on our player. So this is quite complicated stuff. So if you want to know all that kind of shenanigans for today, well, stick around. This is OneUpIndie. I am a developer, so if you like what you're seeing, hey, why not consider sharing, subscribing, and liking and commenting, of course, also. Alrighty. So this is how it is in our conceptual phase. So basically we got our dude here, which is the enemy, and he has the state, which is, for example, now this is a state of idle. This will be later used for patrolling or moving somewhere, and this one is, whoops, I see a player, so let's try to get near to him. But of course this one we will be having tons of issues concerning how we get there, and how then, for example, we do some pathfinding, so he just doesn't bump into those walls. He just goes an optimal route, and then boom, goes to the player and then tries to shoot him or stab him or whatever, well, the enemy is doing. For that we need to establish a few things so you understand what's going on. First of all, we are drawing his sight. So basically we are drawing his angle where he is watching. No, the wild ones. Okay, this didn't pan out correctly. So basically something like this, and this is of course capped. So this is, let's say, his maximum range of sight. So this is kind of important as well. And then of course we will turn him around a little bit, and at some point he will see the player. And of course then boom, if he sees the player, he can do something. One thing, for example, it doesn't need to be exactly something like this. We are trying to be in between a value which is close to the absolute path between those two. So here he could be watching something down like this, or a little bit above like this. Still, we want to have kind of a cone of sight. Then the next thing which we're gonna check is, first of all, is there a player? Check. Then the next thing, are we in the range? Then of course, then if we are not in range, we don't bother doing more checks. Then if there's a player, if he is in range, then we just check, hey, are we in the correct, well, angle? So here we are also. And then the last check will be, hey, is there a wall in between? And for example here there is a wall in between, so walls, they are here. Let's draw them in. So these are the walls, and then of course this is blocking us, and therefore we don't go into another state from our idle one into our alert one, because hey, the view is blocking. But for example, if we are on this thing like this, then all the things are applying. So once again, is there a player? Yes. Are we in range? Yes. Are we having a correct angle to him? Yes. Because for example, if he's just watching upwards, then this wouldn't apply. And of course the last thing, hey, is there a wall in between? Nope. And then boom, we can go into the stage. So as you can see, tons of things which we're going to do. I wanted to discuss this quite in detail, because here this stuff is going to get more complex each time. So therefore I want to be very clear where we are heading from here. Alrighty, so the first thing which we're going to do is get rid of a lot of things so we can understand where things are going. Be gone. And here, lerping, gone, gone, gone. So normally what we did, we just had a substitute image angle. This we used for the drawing part. Here we're gonna kill all that stuff also, and therefore this is what we did last time. And now first of all we will draw a line. For that we just say, hey, draw a line color. Come on. So the first thing which we're gonna do, and this is of course just for debugging, we could go, let's say, if, what was it, object control, yeah, control, and then debug. Here we go. If it's true, then we show all these things. But yeah, we can actually enclose that in here inside our enemy. So for that we just need our enemy object. This is pretty much it, and then of course a little sprite which I use for the states, which I'm gonna go in a few seconds. So the first thing which we want to do is, well, draw a line. So draw a line color width. Therefore we need a few things. First of all, well, the 4 points, so X, Y, so the ones where we are going to, and then the second point, which is which we do, for example, with a specific length. So we have a maximum length, and this one we need to establish at the very beginning. So let's go AI and state machine, and then we have a variable which we're gonna call site max, and let's go, for example, for 120. So basically this variable we're gonna use. So save it up, and then we just go X plus length dir, and then we need the length, because this is the thing which we need to input, so we get it radially correctly, and then a direction. Well, the direction we have, this is our image angle. Here we go, and then we have to do the same part for the Y value, so we get a correct line between those, well, 4 points. So Y, Y, and then the width, I don't know, let's go 1.5 or something, and then C purple, because no, here we go, C purple, and then we are pretty much done. So let's check this out, and now hopefully everything works. So let's see how this is. Yeah, sorry. And as you can see, we did last time that he's instantly homing on the player, so from here, and then we are drawing the line to our player automatically. Let's change this. So let's change this a little bit and make this a little bit more, how can we call that? A little bit more less instantly. So we just go into our step event, get rid of this one, because as you can see, we were in the step event instantly homing where the player is. Here we're gonna lerp this one, so lerp, and we're gonna lerp, well, between itself, and then of course the direction which we want to have, so this one here. So here, and then we go with a value, I don't know, 0.02. let's go for that. And now you will see that the enemy is turning around slower. This is of course just for us for debugging, so we get in a specific angle. As you can see, he is trying to lerp, so therefore he is trying to get there. Of course, later on, not on this video, we will fix this issue, because here we can kind of cheese these kind of values, but for now he's homing in as we want, but with a little delay. So the next thing which we like to do is show what kind of state we are actually in. So we just go and call it state. And at the very beginning we are in a state of being idle. Of course later on we can, for example, have patrol or sleeping or whatever. There are different kind of things, but this is of course then up to you to well, make this a little bit more refined, of course. So here we have our state machine, and then we are just checking like, hey, we're using, hey, what kind of state are we actually in? So switch, then we call it state, and this is just being used now to show what kind of state we're in. This is once again just for debugging. Later on we're going to use this more elaborate. So we just case, let's case we are idle. There we go, break. And then we want to have and draw something very specific above the player, which is just a sprite. And where is it? We just go draw sprite. And then we draw this little bubble above the head, so we just know, hey, what kind of state you are. So this is visually just for us to see, like, hey, I'm well, patrolling, I'm idle, or well, I am alert now. So we just use this dude here, and because it has specific indexes, we just say, like, hey, we create a variable which I just called emote index, or you can call it whatever you like. So emote index. We haven't, of course, created it, so let's do this at the very beginning now. As you can see, once again, the first one, so the 0 index is the one which is idle, patrolling would be 1, and then alert would be 2. So we can actually use this and say, like, hey, this emote index is at 0 if we are in our idle state. If we are in an alert state, then we are at 2, and then the patrol was 1. But for now we just need those 2 because this should be it. So let's check this out, almost check this out, because we need to draw it somewhere. So we just go, I don't know, our X position, and Y, let's go minus 15. So here we go. And because this dude is centered, so let's go, so we can recapitulate quickly. So minus 15, so a little bit above the player all the time. So let's check it out. It is already correctly showing we are in an idle state, and boom, we are, well, homing onto the player. All right. So the next thing which we want to say, like, hey, sweet, we want to now do actually some action, some checking, and therefore we just once again have now our state machine. Here we go. And then we just say, like, sweet, we are in our idle state. And what are we doing in our idle state? First of all, we are checking, hey, is there a player? So we just go and copy paste that, so we don't have to do, well, all the writing from my side. If instance exists, does it exist? Is a player there? So because this could throw an error for us, so we just check for a player if there actually is one. What did I forget? Here we go. And then in this part we say, like, okay, cool, there is a player. Now we want to say, are we actually in the range? So are we say, like, hey, if, let's go here, if, then point distance, and here we need once again 4 points, and point distance is just giving the distance between, well, 2 specific points. And then what do we want to have? Well, between ourselves, so x, y, and then object player x, and of course, no, not like this, player x, and of course object player y. So we copy paste that, and here this is just giving back a value which is a real number, and then we just say, like, hey, are we in range? So we just say, like, hey, are we in our side range, which we defined here, so side max. So are we below our max value? Sweet. If we are, then let's do something in there. As you can see, there's one interdependency after another, after another, after another. Then the next thing we just say, like, hey, first of all, we need to get the total angle which we want to have. And the total angle would be the come on, would be the line which is done totally from this point to this point, and then this one would be a total angle. I just call it differently. Yeah, I call it total angle here, and of course you can call it whatever you like. So var total angle. This is the one-to-one angle, which we actually never achieve, and we don't actually need it, but this is our point of reference. So once again, we just say, like, hey, point direction, because we want to grab now and get an angle, not a distance. So here we needed the distance and compare it to the max value, and here we need to grab a very specific thing, so between us again, and then once again the player X and Y position. Ooh, here, and of course Y. And here we are getting the angle which is the total one, and this one we're gonna use and check, like, hey, are we near this total angle? So we just say like, hey, and say like, hey, angle difference, here we go, between two angles. So first of all, the total one, which is the optimum version, which of course we don't have, and then of course our image angle, which we are lerping in between. This is good, and of course then this will return once again value. Of course here we can actually do a little checking, so we just go into our draw event, just say like, hey, once again we can just have this variable inside our draw, and then for example we draw a text, so we can actually check it out. Draw text xy, I don't know, plus 40, so we're just going a little bit downwards, and then we just do the same stuff which we did in the step event. So here, angle difference, this will of course once again return var text, I don't know, let's call it true or whatever, and boom, we can actually check this out, because this one is already being set, and this one of course is the optimal one. So here, let's see if I got something wrong. Closed. And this should for now do nothing. So for example, now we are not doing anything specific. Now we want to debug a little bit and check out what kind of angle difference we are having. So as you can see, now this number is getting close to almost 0. And then for example, if you go away, and then of course then we can say like, hey, how much of an angle difference do we want to have? But as you can see, this could be a positive number or a negative number. This one we need to fix quite quickly, but this should be no issue, because we can do ABS, which is just standing for absolute. Just pack it in there. So we just give it an absolute angle and say like, hey, if we are below, let's say, I don't know, 30, 40, whatever you actually like, then we can do something. As you can see, total independency all the time. So once again, is there a player? Are we in the total site? Is the angle which we're having close to the total, so the best angle, which is supposed to be like a link between the player and yourself? If yes, then we do our last check, and then we're pretty much finished with this thing, almost. Then we do a line check, so var line wall, and then we just go for a collision line check. So collision rectangle line, let's go for a line, and then once again xy from ourselves, and then we can of course once again reuse the thing which we used for drawing our line, so these values here, because these ones we actually need. So step and put them, and then for example this would be the collision line between ourselves to well, our image angle in, well, with the length of our maximum side range. So for example, if we are not in the maximum side range, then this wouldn't work either. And of course this thing, what is it doing? Well, it is returning if we are bumping into a wall. So once again, our walls are here, so are deactivated. So let's make this a little bit more visible. So if we are having a collision line, then if we are having a collision here, it will return well, an ID, the ID of the specific wall instance. But if not, it will just return no one, and therefore we just say like, hey, if this variable, so if it is actually returning no one, so it's returning, hey, we are not colliding with anything, sweet, then we can actually go and jump into our state, which is our other state. And then of course here this game will break a little bit, state alert. So here we go, this is pretty much it, so let's check it out. All right, don't check it out, not sure what the issue is. Collision line, okay, I didn't fill it out correctly. There's a few things which are left out. So what are we bumping onto? The object wall. I was a little bit too fast. And then precise, no, not me, no. Then let's check it out again. And boom, as you can see now we have our line. He's still in an idle state, so let's check it out. If, as you can see now, he is still having a collision here, but boom, we are and have been detected, and now we can run into other states. So as you can see, quite a lot of things just for this, in quotations, easy part. So that was the very beginning. Of course there will be more on the state machine, because here tons of interdependencies and long videos. Hopefully that was of interest to you guys, and see you then for a newer version of the Hotline Miami, remaking Hotline Miami in GameMaker Studio. Have a good one. One up indie.